A warm welcome to all of you. And in this discussion, please take out your class 10th Polity NCRT, that is Democratic Politics Part 2. Okay. So that means it is in continuation of Part 1. And it is reflecting upon the idea of processes. मैं पहले ही बोल दूं यानी 9th में हमने देखे institutions, political institutions, you have judiciary, you have other institutions which make democracy work. Now, but here the process. That means complementary part of the part one. That means in the prelims examination, we have the questions which are asking about institutions also, and we have, questions which are talking about, I should say, which are talking about processes also. So process and institution, this is the two keywords I'm talking about. When we say process, without looking into textbook and as such, then when we say the power sharing is a process, definitely. Questions are not coming directly when they will say power sharing, but then how power sharing is taking place. Federalism is definitely a very, very important concept. And in federalism, conceptually, UPSC is testing in the prelims. That means in federalism, whether it is the third tier, whether it is second tier, or whether it is the center, whether it is state, everywhere they are asking questions. Then there is a chapter on democracy and diversity. Here also we will see what we can take out and what perspective we can take up, which is fundamentally very much in line with the examination. And similarly, gender, religion, and caste. Very important, both for the prelims and the mains as well. Popular struggles and movements, definitely a very hot area for the prelims because personalities, name of the movements, and also their impact also come in exam. And then you have, you can say, political parties. Definitely, political parties are also a very, very key area. Outcomes of democracy and challenges of democracy. So when we are saying power sharing, then the question definitely when the examples are given with respect to Belgium and Sri Lanka, but the idea is to make India means we as a students to understand that how actually power sharing takes place. So the question will be coming from India as such when we talk about our constitution. But what else is possible? There is very less likelihood that the examination body is going to ask you about the principles on which certain country is operating in a very deep manner. But then, as far as Bhutan is concerned, Sri Lanka is concerned, Nepal is concerned, Sri Lanka is concerned, then there can be certain kind of very broad question with a very, very key word. Okay, that is what we have to take up. Or even the countries which have been in news, for example, Indonesia, it has been working for certain changes, and a new dispensation came into being some time back with a resounding victory. Similarly, here, what more else can come up in the exam is how small countries, very small countries, which are actually having a not very great say in multilateral institutions, वो कैसे operate करते हैं, including New Zealand, including Norwegian countries. So that is how you have to look at it. Because definitely example is given of accommodation in Belgium and so on, and even in case of Sri Lanka. In case of Sri Lanka, for example, 13th Amendment, what is the issue with the northern provinces? Why there is requirement to give more autonomy to the northern provinces? All these major basic idea you must be knowing very well. Secondly, it is in this light only. There were protests in Iran from last couple of months. You must be able to understand and appreciate what kind of changes people are asking for. Why it is there. So उसमें भी कोई कीवर्ड आ जाएगा. स्टेट सर्विसेज होगा तो फीमेल का नाम ही आ जाएगा जिनके उससे शुरू हुआ था. यूपीएससी में तो बहुत मुश्किल है, लेकिन यूपीएससी कैन आस्क यू very broad on the basis of geography, on the basis of certain key leader, something like that can definitely happen. Now, when we say forms of power sharing, especially in the modern democracies, the question is talking about, then here we have to again see in the context of India. इंडिया में कैसे पावर शेयरिंग हो रही है? व्हाट ममता बनर्जी सेज, बंगाल का ये छीन लिया, स्टेट की पावर पे इंक्रोच किया. तो मेक ए लिस्ट ऑफ इश्यूज which you feel that these issues are actually reflection of power sharing between center and state, whether it is GST, whether it is electricity, whether it is subsidies, whether it is Ayushman Bharat scheme, and so on. Prepare a list, and automatically you will be understanding that in which list it is coming, what role it is having, and so on. That is very, very important. In case of Russia also, Russia-Ukraine conflict also, you have to see what kind of government is there in Russia, what kind of elements are there. So this indirectly will help you in understanding, that the key concepts also. For example, what do you mean by separation of powers? Only separation of power concept will come directly. It is very much possible. Similarly, coalition government आ जाएगा 4 statements, or maybe UPSC will be asking you federal government, and it will give you 4 definitions and most appropriate or following are the features of federal government. So our fundamental concept must be very clear. Without that, it is very, very difficult that you will be able to handle it clearly. The next concept is talking about what is federalism. What is federalism? So federalism, everywhere there are different kind of, I should say, a broad definition is there, but India is a unique kind of federation. So you should look into what were the ideas of Dr. Ambedkar Sahib with respect to federalism. India became a federal state, but how we have come together. Then you will be making more sense of the articles also. You will be making sense of the articles, article 1 and so on. So आप साथ साथ में articles को भी देख सकते हैं, और आपको देखना ही चाहिए. But UPSC is going beyond. It is going into what I can say is going into very, very contemporary and very, very colloquial topics. It has broken the barrier of using very, very formal topics only. कुछ भी आ सकता है. जैसे आप यूनियन लिस्ट में से कुछ आ जाएगा, तो वी मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड उसको पढ़ने का तरीका है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल विजुअलाइज विदाउट लुकिंग इनटू द लिस्ट कि कौन कौन सी चीजें यूनियन लिस्ट में होनी चाहिए. आपके हिसाब से सोचिए खुद ही, एंड देन यू गो थ्रू द लिस्ट रादर देन मेकिंग अ लिस्ट एंड देन थिंकिंग अबाउट इट. Nobody can mug up completely. You have to think कि कोई चीज वहां पर क्यों है. Something is there in the union list, something is there in the state list, तब वो हो पाएगा. And especially with respect to union territories, question आना ही आना है. That is why jurisdiction is very important. किसका jurisdiction कहाँ पर है? Why special? What do you mean by administrator? लक्षद्वीप के जो administrator थे, they have been in news for a long time. तो हुआ क्या? क्या powers हैं? How it is appointed? How things happen? This is what you have to link your current affairs with that. There is a map which is given on, which is given on page number 18, and it is talking about India in 1947. Very, very important map. This map you should be able to understand very clearly that how states were divided. This map is from page number 9, page number, you can say, as I told you, page number 18. So how federalism is practiced. Here only you can mark practice. So how it is practiced. 3-tier government तो बहुत बाद में आई. Village या town है तो क्या वो same state में है? अब बेलगाम वाला जो issue है, it has come up in the Supreme Court also. So dispute, state to state disputes. On the what basis? What basis is the coming up of state? So language, language policy. So national education policy will come into picture here, or even center-state relations. So what are the special bodies which have been formed? What have been the role of central institutions? Autonomous हैं कि क्या हैं? Then in this context only role of Niti Aayog, role of Niti Aayog or role of Finance Commission. What are the perils of a coalition government? Whether India should have, people say that a very strong prime minister office is there in India. So it is with respect to क्या इंडिया में प्रेसिडेंशियल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट की तरफ मूव करने. तो when you will think like these, then you will be better able to appreciate it. A whole page is given on page number 22, linguistic diversity of India. You must be updated with that. In fact, as you can recall in one of our discussions in the recent BPSC examination, there was a question on linguistic survey only. So linguistic diversity. Please pay effort for 1 minute and it will pay you 1 question at least. Similarly, moving forward, State Reorganization Commission, it is given. So you should be knowing facts and its basis. Similarly, you should be knowing that all new small states have been created in India on which dates. Last time India में states create कब हुए थे? Before Telangana. And what have been the role and how they have performed. Simple है, Google मारा, ChatGPT से पूछ लो. Don't Google, वो भी बता देगा, लेकिन करना तो पड़ेगा. So decentralization in India, very important. Its role is very important. And that's how India is being run. So you have to see the role of municipalities, role of corporations, and how what is the reservation in panchayats, and how we can see the kind of question they are asking. Financial powers कहाँ है, टैक्स इकट्ठा कर सकते हैं, टोल ले सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं, व्हाट दे कैन एक्चुअली डू. सो देयर इज एन एक्सपेरिमेंट गिवन इन ब्राजील, बट दैट इज नॉट गोइंग टू कम अप. यस, वर्ल्ड के जो एग्जांपल्स हैं इन डेमोक्रेसी, वर्ल्ड के जो एग्जांपल्स हैं बाय वर्ल्ड बैंक, बाय आईएमएफ, सर्टेन स्कीम इज देयर फॉर द लीस्ट डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज और फॉर द पुअर कंट्रीज. वो मॉडल जरूर आ सकता है, वेदर इट इज अबाउट वाटर, वेदर इट इज अबाउट ग्रीन एनर्जी, वेदर इट इज अबाउट सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, वेदर इट इज अबाउट जेंडर इक्वालिटी, वेदर इट इज अबाउट एक्सेस टू हेल्थ. So ये हमें देखना पड़ेगा, because the certain direct question will not come on that sense. Similarly, on page number, I should say, this is the page number 27. It is asking you to locate states on a blank sheet. You should know all the northeast states exactly, and which states they are, which countries they are bordering and what. One question will definitely come there. So you should know all the border states. You should know Goa. So how many states are surrounding Goa? Do an exercise in your mind. Okay, Madhya Pradesh. Boundaries are touching what? And topography is of what sort? Mountainous. Bagelkhand, Bundelkhand. You have to do this so that when you do geography, then it will make more sense. You cannot do it in isolation after one round. There will be no point to that. Similarly, you have to see that the next chapter, which is talking about democracy and diversity, so it is giving the example from Mexico Olympics. Okay, you can read it, but then there is a movement going on in India also. Bahujan Samaj movement is there. You should know Dalit right. Dalit groups are also there. Literature is also there. You should be talking about that. How our constitution is declaring caste discrimination as something which is abhorrent. अभी अभी यूएस के अंदर recently you have seen that first state has come up at the council level which is going to bar discrimination based on caste also. It is sensational in that sense. First time everywhere in the world. Maybe probably question will come from that also. They will ask you कि यूएस में कौन से उसने किया. आज ही today only I am talking about that. So differences, you should know the meaning between differences and divisions. Differences and divisions and what is there. So origin, it is talking about origin of social differences. So here comes the role of again constitution and preamble. Apartheid, it is talking about. In India also, certain sections, they are marginalized and they face this, discrimination. So that also we should be talking about, we should be thinking about. Directly, nothing is going to come on migrant. But then, what are the consequences of distress migration or migration as such? This is definitely going to come up. और इवन इलेक्टोरल पॉलिटिक्स उस पर आ जाएगा. एंड देन इसी केस में आपको क्या याद कर लेना है? दोज हु आर नोमैड्स, दोज हु आर डिस्प्लेस्ड, कौन सा डैम आया, विच environmental project. So Ministry of Environment and Forest, you can just go and Google, you will find the list. वहाँ पे मिल जाएगा ये हो रहा है. या स्टेट को आप उत्तराखंड है, अरुणाचल प्रदेश है, और इवन तमिलनाडु. You should see which state is having what project and why there are protests by the people. This is really going to help us. This is really going to make a difference to your preparation as far as prelims is concerned. Next chapter is talking about gender, religion, and caste. So gender, religion, and caste, again a very, very important thing. Gender, religion, and caste. So in gender, which laws are there? What is inheritance law? How she is protected in the public space? कौन सी schemes हैं? What kind of financial support she is getting from the central government? State government की तो बहुत सारे schemes है, but you cannot go for all of them. So these kind of question will come. It is not going to come up on the mains line जहां आप easily पता लगा दोगे एक ही सेकंड में कि ये एंटी वुमन है या प्रो वुमन है. वो क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा. It will be data based. It will be sex ratio है, literacy है, higher education access है, and then even labor participation for the women. So all these things are going to come up rather than other things. That is what we can say as far as women is concerned. That is why it is very important that you must know the latest reports from last 2 years and also standard practices, how they are changing. Women's political representation, ठीक है, as I told before, and also you must know all important developments with respect to women. 1 or 2 questions are definitely possible, will be coming from here, and all the questions will be positive in positive light, whether it is about human rights. So International Day and all that have stopped coming, but then they can definitely ask you the composition. कैसे कोई कमीशन बनता है, कैसे कोई चीज होता है, कम्युनलिज्म. So I doubt on negative lines any question can be there, but definitely secularism they can ask, so definitely communism also comes into picture. Similarly with the question of caste and politics. So what are the steps for caste eradication? How caste dynamics have changed? How services are changing it in context of GDP? And there on page number 50, there is the social and religious diversity of India. A very important note is there. So you should know, when you read that, it will help you in memorizing and remembering schedule caste and schedule tribe, जो हमारा articles है, that you will appreciate better if you do it properly. So big words are there. You must learn vocabulary. Please increase your vocabulary. That is going to help later. Suddenly vocabulary will not increase. So for example, occupational mobility, caste hierarchy, ये सारी चीजें हमें देखनी है. आप ईवी मतलब आपका इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वोटिंग मशीन, हाउ दे आर यूजिंग ईवीएम, हाउ दे आर बीइंग यूज्ड, व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ इलेक्शन कमीशन, हाउ इट इज हैपनिंग, ये सारी चीजें आपको देखनी पड़ेंगी, इन इंक्लूडिंग द रोल ऑफ मीडिया. दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. पॉपुलर स्ट्रगल्स एंड मूवमेंट्स. सो पॉपुलर स्ट्रगल्स आपको वर्ल्ड में देखने पड़ेंगे, कहां कहां पर हो रहे हैं, एंड व्हाट इज द की वर्ड फॉर देम, वेदर इट इज स्पेशली इन द लेसर नोन वर्ल्ड, जिनका न्यूज में कुछ आता नहीं है, क्योंकि सारा अफ्रीका एक जैसा ही लगता है सोचने में, पर अफ्रीका एक नहीं है. इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल डाइवर्स लैंड. आई हैव बीन देयर टू 2 countries. So you have to understand whether it is northern part, whether it is part infected with piracy, whether there is a problem with Sudan, whether there is a problem with Eritrea, whether it is certain tribes which are fighting, which cases are pending in the International Court of Justice. और उससे फिर आप लिंक करते हुए चाइना का रोल, रशिया का रोल आप लेके आ जाओगे. As far as paper is means textbook is concerned, on page number 73 it is talking about mobilization और organizations. तो इंडिया में आपको थोड़ा पता होना चाहिए वेजेस का क्या है, न्यूज़पेपर के लिए क्या है, ईपीएफओ का रोल क्या है, न्यू लेबर लॉज आए थे वो क्या है, एंड देन सर्टेन डेटा ऑल्सो. इकोनॉमिक्स में तो डेटाबेस क्वेश्चन आएगा, कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्वेश्चन आएगा, दैट वी कैन स्पीक व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इकोनॉमिक्स, नॉट राइट नाउ. तो सोशल मूवमेंट्स एंड प्रेशर ग्रुप्स दे कैन कम, बट ओनली नेम्स विल कम, क्योंकि इसका कॉन्सेप्ट आने का मतलब नहीं है, पकड़ लोगे, चांसेस हैं पकड़ लोगे. दैट इज व्हाई समथिंग typical will come. It will not be coming in that sense. Similarly, when I move further, and question like why do we need political parties and all that, you can read very well. And on that, I discussed before, and also that political parties are registered by Election Commission of India, but they cannot be unregistered by Election Commission of India. So what are the pitfalls for it? Why there are so many registered parties, but all of them are not in the political campaigns, all of them are not in the electoral democracy. They are actually a kind of a money siphoning process. It has become a very important platform for the people to donate and get tax exemptions, and later on that black money is getting white. So what action should be taken? So this brings into question electoral reforms. Okay, so the question is that it is a multi-party democracy in India. So that is why you have to understand why and how. Then also concept will be clear. Why and how means that how a party is given recognition as a national party, like Aam Aadmi Party after Gujarat elections it was given. So you must know the details, how much percentage in what election and how. That is how. Symbol तो I doubt ऐसा कुछ नहीं आता, this is not possible. And when it is saying challenges to political parties, so you have to understand that internal democracy, उनका अपना constitution, money and muscle power, and then what and how they are fulfilling their promises. And again, the topic is talking about how they can be reformed. So obviously that is what we have been talking: election commission, judiciary, masses. So many roles have been there. So you can make a list of the issues which are pending with the Supreme Court as far as reforms in the political parties are concerned. वो आप फटाफट से बना देंगे, उसमें साथ में आप आर्टिकल वो भी ले लेंगे, what are the relevant cases with respect to that. So how do we assess? Again, when we say how do we assess, that is a PT exam is also checking. Are you a suitable gentleman, or are you a suitable cadet, or are you a suitable girl or person for becoming an administrator? So they will assess your understanding of the democracy through understanding how much water, how much irrigation, how much tap water, how much health, how much education, ये सारे पैरामीटर पे how much do you know about India? What scheme is being making what difference all over India? तो सारी स्कीम तो हम रट नहीं सकते, लेकिन we have to make अंदाजा. So we have to make an idea कि ऐसा हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता, ये है कि नहीं है. So accountability, responsiveness and legitimate government, वो कैसे दिखाई देगी? That is only through these questions. When you will be getting questions on scheme, when you are getting questions on acronym, when you are getting questions on you can say at some political concepts, question आता है कि लगातार इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ हो रही है और लगातार डिसलेरेशन हो रहा है. So somewhere there will be a kind of a catch that if you have not studied mindfully, आप नहीं मार सकते, आप तुक्का ही मारोगे, और तुक्का यूपीएससी में ज्यादातर गलत ही होता है. You cannot make guess. Rarely guess काम आएगा. If it is a structured guess तो काम चलेगा, and half-hearted guess are not going to help in under any circumstances. So poverty removal, पीडीएस है, चाहे वो फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट है, कितना किलो मिल रहा है, और बाकी गवर्नमेंट का स्कीम क्या है, क्या दे रहे हैं, ये सब तो आपको आना चाहिए, आपको पता होना चाहिए, रटा होना चाहिए. And there are so many sources for the same thing. As far as challenges are concerned, again, this is a very, very analytical, and this is a uh, mains exam based chapter. So that is not going to come. So in challenges, they will try to ask you objective question through amendment, or through, for example, emergency provisions, or for example, what I should say, some kind of such a major development which is not visible to all. Say infrastructure, so obviously it is there, but then in context of question may be coming on, say for example, certain kind of in polity, if I only say, then it will be coming in terms of twisting the concept. It will be twisting. For example, you must know the complete complete uh, clarity. With complete clarity, you should know what are democratic rights, what are political organizations, and so on. Then only you are going to help yourself in understanding, and in understanding the complete demand of the chapters, and even in the reforms and redefining democracy, which is in the end it is talking about. That is only possible when you are going to understand last 2 years, and also last 2 decades, and at least last half a decade developments, especially in terms of digitization. So fintech आया है, डिजिटल डिजिटाइजेशन आया है, एंड देन इन टर्म्स ऑफ देयर आर लॉट ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. सो इनमें जो कोर कॉन्सेप्ट है, दैट आर ओनली गोइंग टू बी आस्क्ड. That is what is required. So make a list, try to understand, and get back with your doubts, and go with your own pace and understanding. And I'm sure that uh, this discussion which I'm trying to have with you is really going to help you, and definitely it is going to be a worthwhile learning for you. Thank you for giving me your valuable time. Thank you very much.